Happy New Year, everybody. I hope everybody's had an incredible start to the year 2023. To be honest, I'm here in a robe and I'm still a little hungover from New Year's, so I'm curing it with hair of the dog. But anyway, let's get into the video. Hello, welcome to my video. If you're from my Instagram, I love you. If you're not from my Instagram, love you all the same. So today, I'm gonna be trying the Lunar Beauty 12 Days of Lunar Eyeshadow Advent Calendar. And it's also gonna be my first time trying Lunar Beauty as a whole overall. So since we have a lot of work to do, let's get right into it. So before we jump into the show and tell portion of the eyeshadow specifically, I want to talk a little bit about the packaging because I think that's very important for a product like this. So obviously we've all seen the packaging on Lunar Beauty's website, Manny's video. It's actually very cute, but that's not what I wanted to talk to you about today. I was honestly surprised that it's actually a very thick, nice, heavy cardboard. It's not flimsy by any means, and that honestly actually means a lot, especially if you're from somewhere far away like I am. I live quite a ways away from where Lunar Beauty originally ships their product, and I was actually really worried about that because if you're buying a product like this one, an eyeshadow advent calendar, the last thing you would want is for your eyeshadows to arrive busted, bruised, or broken, and that was a real concern for me. Needless to say, that did not happen at all. The packaging is very thick and sturdy, and I'm going to show you another little small detail about the packaging that may seem small, but it's actually really important that I really liked. So you would get your eyeshadow in a little cardboard box like this one, which is already, you know, cute, whatever. But I was more impressed by the fact that it does have this little divider in here, if you can see it, which is really important when it comes to transport. Because of the divider, the eyeshadow was snug in there. It did not have a chance to move or break in any way, shape, or form, so I really appreciated that. So Lunar Beauty, you rock for the reinforced packaging, and I really wanted to just mention that to you guys in case Lunar Beauty decides to do this again next year, and in case you'd be inclined to maybe look into buying this for yourself next year. I wanted to let you know that the packaging is pretty sturdy, solid, and you know what, basically if it arrived over here in Wonderland in one piece and beautifully, I think you're gonna be good too. So that was something that I felt was important to mention. Now let's get on to the beauty of the eyeshadows. So I'm just starting off with the base. Of course, I'm using my Peely's base as per usual, and you know what we do here. While we apply base, we chat. So I've been wanting to try Lunar Beauty for a hot minute now. I almost got the Life's a Drag palette a few times, honestly, but the only thing that was stopping me was just because I live in the middle of nowhere and customs and shipping is always such a nightmare. So I really wanted to wait for a certain product to really wow me, and that was this product for me. So backstory, I have stopped buying advent calendars, well, makeup advent calendars, for the last couple of years, honestly, because I've gotten bored of all of them. No shade, but the really affordable ones have kind of gotten predictable and I'm just kind of tired of them. And the ones that I would really actually want to get are like $200, $300, which I just can't justify spending that much money on a simple advent calendar. So I haven't. So when Manny posted this on his Instagram, I went and watched the video immediately, and I immediately fell in love because I think this is such a genius, really creative, really well thought out idea. And I, for one, without even trying the palette, really hope that he does it next year as well, because I was so looking forward to opening each new eyeshadow every day. I really felt like a kid again. It was so fun. So Lunar Beauty definitely already has some brownie points for innovation, but we'll see what the formula says. So I'm starting off with the black shade. I have sort of a pink theme going on today, so my eye look is going to be sort of pinkish purple. I've already picked my favorite shade out of this palette, so that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do a nice little round shape today for a change. So with a larger sort of flat brush, I'm just tapping it on to the very edge and corner of my eye just to establish a general shape. And you know what, so far so good. I will say that this isn't the blackest black matte eyeshadow that I've ever tried. Honestly, in person it looks sort of like a dark gray. I don't know what it looks like on camera, so don't drag me, but that's what it's looking like in real life right now. So now I'm just gonna connect that to the lower lash line. So now I'm taking a small detailed fluffy blending brush and I'm sort of just going around the edges and making that a little bit bigger, buffing it out just a little bit, really perfecting that shape. Same thing right here. And I'm also gonna blend out the lower lash line with that same shade. Okay, now I'm extending that shape to the lid. Yeah, you know, I don't know how well you can see that, but that's definitely blending out more like a gray than it is a black. But you know what, since the shade doesn't have a name and since it's not listed anywhere that it's supposed to be a black, I suppose it could also actually be a gray on purpose. So I was just under the impression that it was meant to be a black, and now it's looking more gray. But that's just my opinion, of course. Whatever the shade, the formula is nice. There's almost no fallout right now, and it's pretty buttery and it's blending out great so far. Okay, so now cleaning off that same fluffy blending brush, I dipped into the sort of purplish plumish shade, and I'm just blending it right above that darkest shade. My brush is still 50% touching the black shade and 50% touching the skin, and I'm going in a windshield wiper motion. So I've gone around the entire perimeter of my eye, and so far, same thing. Nice formula, very buttery, almost no fallout, which I'm sort of gagged by because these are pretty dark shades, so I don't know how this is done, but I like it a lot. Okay, so now I'm doing the same thing, but with that mustard yellow shade. I'm gonna try and blend out this purple with the mustard yellow because I'm kind of a nut like that. But anyways, what I was gonna say about this palette while I do my eyes is that even though this is sort of meant to be a holiday collection, I like that it's not a palette that typically screams Christmas at first glance, you know? Like, it definitely is giving winter for sure. It does have a nice winter vibe, but it's not a typical Christmassy palette, and I like that. It's very unique, and I really like that and appreciate that about this palette, even though I am the first one who loves screaming Christmas at the top of her lungs the minute November 1st hits. Okay, so now as usual, I'm applying the same colors in the reverse order just to strengthen the pigment up a bit. I gotta be honest, you guys, so far I'm not that crazy about this eye look. It's turning out kind of dark and muddy, but honestly, that's probably on me because I wanted so badly to make these three shades play nice together. And I don't really think they're designed to do that, so. Okay, so last step before the fun part, which is obviously the shimmer. I'm using that black again, and then I'm gonna move swiftly on. So this is definitely a more of a grungier look, and I'm really personally not that type of girl, but it's gonna photograph well because the shades really are blending well together, even though they're not really complementing one another, you know, as maybe best as they could. Absolutely no fallout on the face either, which is pretty much a Christmas miracle. Anyway, I'm just tapping whatever's left over of my base to my moving lid just to get it ready for the shimmery shades. Okay, so I'm taking a flat brush and the lightest shimmery shade and applying it into the inner corner, and that's actually so pretty. It reminds me of snow. It has these sort of very, very demure flecks of blue glitter in it. It's very pretty and honestly quite a unique shade. It's not quite blue, it's not quite white. I can't place it, which I love about it. Work, that is so pretty. It almost has sort of like a duo shift. I loved that. That would be such a beautiful topper shade. Now I'm using this shimmery copper and I'm applying it right next to it, and I'm noticing that these shades perform way better if you swipe them on versus tap them on, which I have no problems with because as you can see, I mean, the pigment is definitely there. I will say one thing, I feel like I'm having to dig into this shade quite a bit, and the pigment is there like I said, but I feel like for how much digging I'm doing, there should be a little bit more pigment. Okay, so as you can see, this is the eye look. Honestly, it's a bit darker than what I originally envisioned, but I still kind of like it. It is a vibe. Now, let me go finish up the rest of my face and then final thoughts. Before that, I also wanted to quickly show you the fallout situation in the palette itself. Okay, so full face is on, now let's talk. So idea, innovation, packaging, 5 stars all around, love that, perfect. Now, as far as how the palette performed today, Honestly, I would say it was a little bit of a mixed bag for me personally. So one thing I do want to note here is that this is coming on the heels of me reviewing Nimya the palette a couple of weeks ago, I think. So that palette might still be fresh in my mind while I'm reviewing this one, because that one really impressed me and I didn't even know that I could be so impressed because the mattes from that palette wowed me. So maybe that's what I was expecting here again because it's so fresh in my mind. Okay, so now let's get down to it. So while I was doing my makeup and while I was blending, I kept going, oh, they're buttery, they're buttery. And what I was trying to say, but perhaps didn't articulate in the best way, was that they were blending out smoothly. That's what was buttery. But the formula itself of the eyeshadows, from what I can tell, is a bit more on the dry side. Now, I don't mind that at all as long as the pigment is pigmenting, and as you can see, it definitely is. But I know some people don't like drier eyeshadow formulas, so I thought I'd mention that. But overall, from this usage and this usage alone, this palette was just a tiny bit inconsistent for me. So for example, the black, or seemingly black eyeshadow, I should say, wasn't really black, it was gray. And then that coppery shimmer, I feel like I really had to dig in there to get this payoff that you can see right now. I'm sure that it would look better if you just used your finger, but I'm really not at liberty to do that. Like, I have really long nails and I already ruined one shade while I was putting it in the pan, and I'm not keen on doing so again, so that's why I didn't do that today. But on the flip side of that coin, I didn't feel like that at all with that other lighter shimmery shade. That one felt almost effortless to apply, so I don't really know how to feel about it. Perhaps it's one of those palettes that takes a minute to warm up to you, and perhaps if I use all of the other shades in the palette, I would absolutely love it, which if that happens, I will keep you posted on my Instagram page. Now again, this doesn't mean that I hated the palette or that I didn't like it. I actually did like it, and based on only this experience today, I would purchase from Lunar Beauty again if they came out with a palette and a color story that I fell in love with, or if they came out with something just as innovative as this, I would give them another shot. But today it was just a little bit inconsistent for me, and that's just the truth. Anyway, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and if you liked it, then please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!